Here we go. And good evening, everybody, and welcome to week 2 of the Purification Program. Wow, what a great week. Our class last night was fantastic. We had carrot bisque soup, so I will share that with you. You know me, I think I'm funny, so here you are. So here's the carrot bisque soup. I already have it on the Bay Street Wellness website. It's already under recipes. I will also put that, I think I've already put it on the Facebook page. If you're not on the Facebook page, let me know and we'll get you on there. And so you have that. We made that and it was delicious. So it's simple to make. So give it a try. All right. So I use standard process, and I use standard process because of the fact that Dr. Royal Lee was he was kind of way ahead of his time. And he is a dentist. He developed the product Catalin, which is the multi, because he saw the need for patients because of their cavities they were having from eating refined sugars and refined flours. So he was really promoted that, and he just built his whole product line just by that. The farm, as standard process, is in Palmyra, Wisconsin, which is on a glacier, which is the richest soil. And they bought all the property around, so it's organic, and they did almost 90 million pounds of their own product right there on the farm that you get in your supplementation. So he, like I said, being a big visionary, this is one of his quotes: food always has been, and I suspect will always be, the ideal source of your vitamins, for they are surrounded by untold numbers of nutritional factors. And if you recall, last week we talked about my colleague who's a nutrition scientist, and she said it so eloquently that the body has all these biochemical processes in our body. And phytonutrients have the exact key to go into the lock and turn it to open, so those biochemical processes can happen like they're supposed to. But when we eat things like an isolate, so if you go to the grocery store or the the big box pharmacy store and buy the vitamin off the shelf, it's usually an isolate. For instance, vitamin C, I use that a lot as a reference in a multi. If you look at vitamin C on your multi and it says ascorbic acid, that's only one component of vitamin C. And all ascorbic acid comes from China. If you're taking ascorbic acid from vitamin C, you just can't take that one nutrient out of the orange and have all the complex of it. And I think that's what standard process did really well. And that isolate is like going to your hardware store, getting a copy of your house key made, and it looks like it's perfectly fine. It fits in that lock, but there's something wrong with that key that doesn't turn that lock. So that's the beauty of using phytonutrients for food and using that as our medicine instead of pharmaceuticals. Not that there's not a time and place for everything. There is. So your diet for the next week. So it's going to stay the same. No corns, no beans, no white potatoes, twice as many vegetables as fruit. These are all the vegetables you can have. You have your list. If you didn't get a copy, we have this list. I'll put it on the, I think it's in the under guides. It's our 21-day, and it has the shopping list on the back. Tells you what you can have. You go from the book also, but I did slightly change it to make it better for you. So remember that, make your salads. And if you didn't check your salad dressings in your refrigerator, you'll know that they're full of soybean oil and high fructose corn syrup. So do not use those. Give them to somebody you don't like, or pour them on weeds and recycle the bottle. That's the best I can tell you to do. So remember my big rule: eat twice as many vegetables as fruit, and I put the ones that I want you to have. Now, if you are on a weight management program, I want you to limit all quinoa, lentils, and any black beans or chickpeas, because they're very starchy, and that's going to hinder your weight loss. So if you're not trying to lose weight, then okay, you can have either a half a cup of cooked quinoa per day or a half a cup of cooked lentils per day. One or the other, not both. Only a half a cup. Your oils, remember, coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, flaxseed oil, grapeseed oil, avocado oil, and your spring water, your mineral water, your herbal teas. If you want to drink a fuzzy water, with a flavor that's not sweetened, I'm okay with that as well. But get your water in. And on day 11, we get protein. So your protein sources, average size is 3 ounces cooked. And like a piece of chicken, the size of your palm is about 25 grams. So you're getting your adequate protein in for the day, 2 to 4 servings per day, and try to get 1 to 2 servings per fish. I would say if you're full, you don't have to do the whole 4 servings because you are drinking your shakes. And if you feel like 3 shakes is too much, just do 2 or limit it to 1 and add your other serving in. That way you're getting enough of your protein. We did the 3 shakes initially because we didn't get enough protein in because we were off the animal protein. And I limit your lentils and your beans and stuff because I want the carbs to stay low so I can get a little weight loss here too. So chickens and eggs must be free range, antibiotic and hormone free. You can have lean meat, red meat. Make sure it's grass fed, grass finished. You can have your fish as long as it's wild caught. You can broil it, bake it, roast it, or poach it. You can't eat lunch meat, cured meat, or smoked meat because how do you get it in the pipe anyway? Can't help it. Sorry. So, I forgot to change that. You'll have 20 capsules to take now, and your regimen will be 2 to 3 shakes per day. Remember, it doesn't have to be 3 shakes. Right now, you're probably finding that you're eating enough vegetables and you're probably feeling full. So you don't have to force that 3rd shake in there. You're going to do 3 gastrofiber twice a day, 5 green food twice a day, and then your 4 GI Adsorb at night. If you didn't get GI Adsorb, it is coming in the office tomorrow, or if it's back ordered, you should be getting it. I had to move us up on the list, so you should get that a little bit sooner. So if you don't have the GI Adsorb, it's not a big deal. If you paid for it with your kit, we'll get it to you, and you can finish. You can just continue that afterwards. So don't worry. So remember, 2 to 3 shakes per day, 3 gastrofiber twice a day, 5 green food twice a day, and your 4 GI Adsorb at night before you go to bed, right before you go to bed with a full glass of water. If you're taking something like a hypertension medication, take it 2 hours away from that. So if you're going to take the GI Adsorb right before you go to bed, 2 hours before that, you can take your medication. So anything you take close to it, it'll grab it and pull it out. What it's really helpful for is that GI Adsorb. When we go through that phase 1, it really helps to grab toxins and pull them out, especially during this first week. But the process continues to happen. So we talked about GI Adsorb, and I think I geeked out on the Facebook page. So make sure you look at that. Talked about the science of why. That when we talked about the GMOs and on the Facebook page, but the GI Adsorb is amazing for really ridding our body of that glyphosate. So it's not a bad, habit to maybe take 1 to 2 of those, just throw those in before you go to bed at night, especially if you've eaten out someplace that you don't know the quality of the food, or you haven't been eating a lot of organic. That would be a time to do that. Or if your neighbor sprayed their glyphosate in their yard next door, you might want to do it then as well. So keep that in mind. Olive oil. We had a conversation about olive oil last night. One of my and he posted on the Facebook. So if you're not on the Facebook page, please reach out to us. We'll get you hooked up on the private page. He talked about how most of the extra virgin olive oils are mixed with vegetable oil, and that also goes for your restaurants too. So make sure you read your label. He gave us a link which was pretty cost effective. It's for 3-liter, a 3-liter tin, so that would last you long enough. So I would think about doing something like that. And remember, we do these things because I try to find my favorite things. So you have a link to do that. It's not for me to make any money on it. I don't make money on it. I just care. So I want you to, if you want what I want, then I give it to you. So exercise, a little bit of something every day. Strength training is king. You work those muscles, that works your brain, and that helps to maintain your body. It is the most metabolic thing you can do for your overall body. So look at your watch now and see what your steps are. You should have 10,000 steps in a day. That's 5 miles. Doesn't have to be done all at once, but get those steps in. And doing that, some type of weight training. Simple. If you need a workout, there are actually workouts under the guides in the Facebook, the private page. So just pop up on guides and look through there. All our recipes are there. All the workouts are there, and the purification guide is there. So we're going to talk about sugar this week because we forget. So 4 grams of sugar equal 1 teaspoon. So you've seen this in the office, and if you haven't been in the office and you're from another, part of the state or the United States and you haven't been here, this is a display I have in both had in both of my offices, and it's very impactful for patients to see. And usually when the new patient walks in, the first thing they do is take a picture of it, because when you realize how much sugar are in those drinks, it makes you wonder, we should change that. So look at the sugar in things, and I want you to teach you that. So when you look on your labels and it says 4 grams, like a teaspoon of sugar is 16 calories, and we get that number of calories by calculating 1 gram of carbohydrate equals 4 calories. So if it's 4 grams of sugar times 4, that's how you get your 16 calories. And that's how we calculate food. Here's a list of 61 names for sugar. I will put this on the Facebook page as well. Or if you want to email the office, then we can email that to you as well. And we'll put you on the email list for that. But this is where it's so confusing, because you are reading a label, and just because it doesn't say sugar, you're like, oh, there's no sugar in it. But it can be like when they put HFCS. Most of my patients, that have been working with me with purification or any kind of nutrition know that means high fructose corn syrup, but a lot of people don't. So they're thinking, oh, this doesn't have any sugar in it. But you can see how we can be really confused. So this is for all my cycling buddies, because they all have bananas in their pockets, and we'll stop for a break and they'll eat a banana. But the problem is it's 5 teaspoons of sugar. And in the energy world, that just throws your carbohydrate up, your sugar, blood glucose up, and then you slam down and don't have anything available. The problem with that is you're a sugar burner. And if you're a sugar burner and you eat too much sugar, or you eat, say, a banana after your exercise, it shoots your blood sugar up and then drops it to the bottom. And you don't have any energy, so it's going to look for something. It cannot switch to fat. That's like putting gasoline in your car. You run out of gas, you can't put diesel in it and expect the car to perform. Same thing. If you run out of carbohydrates, you can't switch to fat. The next available thing is muscle. So then we do what is called muscle wasting. And our body, we're actually eating flesh to give us enough energy. And that's not good. And especially not good because as we age, when we get to be in our 50s and older, we lose 1 to 3% of our muscle mass per year. That's called sarcopenia. That means flesh death. And that flesh death happens just by eating a lot of carbohydrates and then having it drop out, and also the aging process. So we can diminish that 2 ways: decreasing the sugar in our diet, having that big high surge of blood glucose, and 2, using strength weight training. So keep those things in mind as we talk. And then look at orange juice. So same thing. I mean, when I was little, my grandmother would give us orange juice in these little tiny glasses, maybe 3 or 4 ounces. And you go to restaurants and you get, this big 12-ounce glass just about. And this is probably maybe a 6-ounce size glass, and it has 5 teaspoons of sugar in it. And people think, well, oranges, they're healthy. The fruit is healthy. It's healthy, but it has a lot of sugar, and it's fructose. Fructose has to be managed by the liver. So yes, it's good, but only in little bits, especially if you're on a weight management program. But you have to understand, it still raises your blood sugar, even though it's good for you. And you get the same vitamins and nutrients in vegetables as you do fruit. That's why I tell you to eat the rainbow colors of vegetables. So the reason why I talk about this, look at this: 34.2 million people have diabetes. That's 10% of our US population. 26.9 million people are, including 26.8 million adults, are diagnosed, and undiagnosed, 7.3 million people. That's a lot of people that are ruling with a non-diagnosed diabetes. And these are why we worry about this. With 90 to 95% of people having type 2 diabetes, and type 2 diabetes is caused by us. There are 3 types. There's type 1 diabetes, and you're born with that. Gestational diabetes, you can only have that when you're pregnant. So guys, you can't use that as an excuse. And then type 2 diabetes. And it, drives me crazy when I have a patient, I'm doing a nutrition consult, and they say to me, yes, I'm a type 2 diabetic because my dad was a type 2 diabetic. Type 2 diabetes does not happen that way. He's a type 2 diabetic because he probably ate like his dad and got the bad habits like that. So be mindful of that. Over 25% of adults over 65 have diabetes. Exercise and weight loss reduce the risk of pre-diabetes by type 2 pre-diabetic type 2 diabetes by 58%, more than half reduction just by exercising and managing weight. And then and when you look around in a room, 1 in every 10 of those people have diabetes. And the other worry is our youth. I heard a statistic that they have trouble getting enough healthy people to enlist into our armed services or to our military because they're all overweight, obese, diabetic. So 210,000 Americans under the age of 20 are diagnosed with diabetes. And, these numbers just keep growing. There's only 2 approved medications for diabetes for kids. And so what are they going to do? We have 20 for adults. So pre-diabetic, this is what it's setting us up to. When we're diabetic, it affects our eyes. So we have retinopathy, we lose vision. It can promote a stroke, can promote cardiomyopathy, heart attack, neuropathy in the hands and feet, reduced blood flow, which causes, amputation, diabetic neuropathy. I mean, if you look at a diabetic center, if you wanted to make a good investment, invest in any of these diabetic, renal centers where they do, can't think of it, where they do, I just can't believe I can't even think of it. Dialysis, sorry, where they do dialysis. 95% of the people in there are diabetic that have to do dialysis 3 times a week forever. If they decide to quit, they have 14 days and they die. And then diabetic foot, so because that's the farthest from the heart, very common, and that's an ulcer that just does not heal and also leads to amputation. So 65 years or older, 24.2 million aged 65-year-olds are pre-diabetic. So that's pretty scary. So 66.5% of all Americans have either diabetes or are pre-diabetic. And that's just not good. That loads up that risk for heart disease and stroke. Next week, I'll talk about cholesterol, and I'm going to go a little deep dive in there because there's so much out there, and I still have people on statins that really don't need to be on statins, but your doctor tells us, and we just do what they say instead of questioning. So we have a lot of risk associated with that at a cost of like almost $200 billion a year. And that cost is a loss of productivity too, which is another 131 billion. We have the most expensive healthcare and most extravagant healthcare in the whole world, but we have the sickest people. That's a soapbox I could really spend time on. Lack of physical activity, another huge one. It costs us $117 billion annually for related healthcare because somebody just doesn't move their body. And this is all for the center of disease. I mean, it's all documented. Obesity, 1 in 5 children, 1 in 3 adults. So this is why I'm so passionate about doing this class, helping you, helping others. And when you have the information, I give it to you to pass that on to them, because the more people we can reach, the better we can be. And the cost of just obesity in a year is $147 billion. The cost is just so astronomical. So let's talk about why blood sugar is so important. So glucose is sugar in the blood, and the pancreas regulates that sugar by producing insulin. Insulin there carries blood sugar. So you eat some sugar, then the insulin, its responsibility is to take that sugar to the cell and put it in the cell for use for energy. If the pancreas can't do that, then we're diabetic. If we eat too much sugar, the pancreas can't do its job and it keeps putting sugar in, and then it gets to a place where there's no more room to put anything and it becomes insulin resistant. So the insulin can't do its job anymore, which is another problem with diabetes. All right, some of you have seen this before, but I always think it's funny, and we always have new people on the call. So here's your math test. If Bob has 36 candy bars, and he eats 29 of them, what does he have now? That's correct. He has diabetes. And here's the other thing: women, as we age, our estrogen declines, and our estrogen is responsible for causing some of the osteoporosis we see. Well, sugar also, creates a greater loss of bone as well. So we lose our calcium, we lose our good gut bacteria, as well as inflammation. So when we look at blood sugar, this is what we want to see. We want to see it to stay in that 80 to 120 range. When we eat something, it should go up to 120. Your body manages, stabilizes the blood sugar, and it drops back down. The body can release fat, can protect your lean muscle, and eliminates cravings. If we have too many carbs, the blood sugar spikes, and the body then says, uh-oh, we're going to store this for later because we don't really need it right now. If we eat too little, the blood sugar drops, and the body will start to burn muscle and hold on to the fat because it thinks it's in some type of you're not going to ever eat again. So you're some kind of famine. So that way you can conserve energy. So skipping a meal, restricting calories. We'll talk about intermittent fasting the last week. This is a little bit different. This is when you're already on an unhealthy blood sugar diet. So this is the sugar addiction. It's just a ongoing cycle. You eat sugar, you like it, your brain says, oh, I really love that. And it has very addictive properties, more so than cocaine. Blood sugar levels spike, dopamine is released because it feels good. And then the insulin drops, and then your blood sugar level drops. Then your blood sugar levels really fall, and you start storing fat, and then your body's like, oh, I'm sad again. I need that sugar. And then you eat it, the hunger cravings, and it just rotates around and around and around. So during this 21-day, that's one of the reasons why I do limit the quinoa and the lentils, because it still acts as a carbohydrate, even though it's not a direct sugar. It's a complex carbohydrate. It breaks down a little slower, but still is a carbohydrate. And too much sugar, look at all the things that too much sugar can cause in us: cardiovascular disease, tooth decay, dizziness, allergies, cholesterol, hypertension, pancreatic cancer, colon cancer, type 2 diabetes, and metabolic syndrome is 5 things that are associated with diabetic, and that's going to be obesity, hypertension, hypercholesterolemia, and type 2 diabetes. So, and look at ADD and ADHD. So what do we feed our kids in the morning? Cereal. I think after COVID and parents had to homeschool their kids, they understand the importance of a not so sugary breakfast. All right, so how much sugar do you really need? So if we look at the sugar, women, 6 teaspoons a day, that's 24 grams. Remember, 6 times 4 is 24. Men, 9. 6 times 9 is 36. Oh, sorry, 4 times 9 is 36. Remember, 4 grams per teaspoon. I'm not telling you to need to eat 10 teaspoons of sugar. I'm not saying that. But in the food you eat that converts, a carbohydrate converts to sugar in your system, that's what you can have. And I said this last week, we have essential amino acids. We have 9 essential ones that we have to have in order for us to build muscle, and we don't make them, so we have to get them from mostly animal protein. We get some from some of the beans, but they're considered an incomplete protein. We have essential fats. We have short chain fatty acids, medium chain fatty acids, and long chain fatty acids. Carbohydrates, there is no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. I know I'm the bearer of bad news, but that's just the way it is. Your brain only needs 20 grams of carbohydrates per day. If you don't eat them, your liver makes them. So you're covered. So we don't really need all this sugar. We're just packeting the not big pharma, but big box that sell all these foods that we're addicted to. So this was from 2017. I've got a little bit further. This is just Lake County where the office is. So healthy weight was 32%, underweight was 2.6, overweight was 32%, obese was 32.6. And look at the kids. I mean, at least we've got a good portion of the kids are healthy weight, but look at the overweight and obese, it's starting to creep up. I'm not too concerned about underweight because there's not a lot of conditions that are fixated to that, and the number is so small. But these are the current numbers in Lake County this is 2019. That's the most update that they have, 32%. So it's a little bit worse than it was last time, because if you look back at the it was 32.5. So it's a little 32.3, not much better. The overweight and obese, so the obesity went down, but the overweight went up. So maybe this is a transition, so a good transition. The kids that are on a healthy weight are 63%, and that is Oops, sorry, wrong way. That is down, is up from last time, so that's good. And these were just really interesting. I found adults who are inactive or insufficient active, 58% in Lake County don't exercise. Adults who consume 5 or more fruits or vegetables, 17%. This is where half our problems are happening. We're just not eating right. And that's why I do the 21 day, because not only does it, we're detoxing your liver, we're working on that, but also we're changing habits. It has to be done for 21 days to change a habit. And we're introducing real food back into your diet. And you know, now that you're eating, you forget how good it tastes. So it's just creating a lifestyle and making a commitment at the end, maybe 5 nights a week, you know, so on school nights, you make good dinners. On the weekend, you can go out, but keep that in mind. So when we look at the expense of that, it's just, you know, it's just mind-boggling. You know, by 2030, 60% of this is just, you know, overall, this is the Florida will be obese if we don't do anything about it. And they started this back in 2013. It was the Healthiest Weight Initiative, but the cost at $34 billion. And these are all diseases in the next 20 years that are preventable. They're preventable chronic disease. We're talking diabetes, hypertension, and cancer, all related to how we eat, all related to sugar. And this is just in Florida. The burden is just humongous. I mean, 34 million Americans have diabetes, and in Florida, look at where we are. Look at our numbers. I mean, that's just scary. And then the cost, the direct medical expense, $19 billion. That was in 2017. This is the current I have on our own Florida HealthyGov website, and an additional 5.5 billion of indirect costs due to loss of productivity from patients that are diabetic. That's just amazing. Now I went on. So here's what happens. I give you the most correct, accurate information. It's research. It's evidence-based science that I give you. But I go to the website. This is myplate.gov, and you can go to that. And this is what they're suggesting. Look at this: 6 servings of grains per day. Here's part of our problem: 3 servings of dairy. Okay, but you know, there's better choices. Only 5 of protein. That's only 5 ounces per day, or 5 ounces per day of, you know, meat. So it's like, what? No. So these are all percentage. 5% should just come from that, and your vegetables, and so they want you to eat the fruits, and this 8% is all sugar here. So, and then they don't let you have as many oils, but that is changing because the new RDA via the FDA says you can have up from 2020 to 2025, they have removed the upper limits of fats that you should have, because research is there. They're slowly catching up. So here's what my plate looks like. And you can see that 3/4 of that, well, you know, a good, you know, half of that plate is grains and fruit, which is all the sugar. When we want to extend that vegetable a lot more and extend that protein, and they don't even add any oils in there other than dairy. So we need to make changes. And on the last week, I will help you make changes. We will put together what you should do afterwards going forward. And this is what it looks like. So you can see all the white, that's all the fat. And look how the fat wraps around the liver. Here's the liver right here. I don't know if you can see my cursor, that's the liver. But look at all the fat in the organs. All this is just extra protection. In Florida, we just don't need that. Other states, I understand, but here, we don't need that. We have heavy coats. That's all we need. Turn on the heat. You'll DO5. Okay. So we hear the word calories. Calories is a unit of energy. We take them in through food and drink. We burn them by all bodily functions: blinking, respiration, your heart beating, playing sports, exercising, even eating. And this is what it looks like. We call that your basal metabolic rate. And there's a calculation you can do. I'll show you what that is in just a second. But this is the calories you need for your body to operate at total rest. That's lying in your bed, not doing it before you even wake up. It's all your involuntary movements, respiration, digestion, heart rate, maintenance of blood pressure, body temperature, eye blinking, all that. So here's how we determine your ideal body weight and then determine your BMR. In exercise physiology, we use the formula called the Hamwe equation. So you get 100 pounds for the first 5 feet. So I'm 5'4". I want to say I'm 5'10", but I know I'm 5'4". That's 100 pounds. Then it's 5 pounds for every inch over that. So I'm 5'4", so 100 pounds. 4 times 5 is 20. So 120 is my ideal body weight. And then I take that body weight and I multiply it by 10, and that's my resting metabolism, my basal metabolic rate. That's what I need at rest, 1,200 calories. So for men, 110 pounds, and then 5 feet for every inch after that. So if you're 5'10", it's a 110 pounds, and then you add 5 times 10 is 50, so 160 pounds. So that's how you figure your ideal weight. And then you multiply that by 10, and that gives you your basal metabolic rate. If you did the in-body in the office, or you've done an in-body somewhere, it'll tell you what your BMR is. Different than the BMI. BMI is your your body mass index. And that's how we measure your height, weight with an equation to measure your overall health, metabolic health. All right, so when we talk about that BMR, basal metabolic rate, this is your resting metabolism. So when you're resting, you get some thermodynamic burning of calories when you eat and when you exercise. So we do, I do something in the office called a Zyto. And this is Marianne. She is on the call, so I always pick on her a little bit because of hair. But she came to me after Thanksgiving. This was back in 2017, and she's like, "Oh man, I just don't feel good. We thought it was her thyroid, and so we said I measured her, and this is her Zyto. That's 172 biomarkers. Red is not good. Green is good. So you can see obviously there's a problem here. So here's what we did. We did the 10-day blood sugar program, which I do throughout the year. We did it began on Monday after Thanksgiving. She did it for 10 days, lost a few pounds, fatigue went away. We thought it was her thyroid, but that also diminished. Her energy was better. She felt healthy all over, and her sugar cravings were decreased. Remember, if you're new to this, Gymnema is what we use to squelch those sugar cravings. So then I retested her, and it looked like this. This was 10 days later. So that's pretty spectacular. So that's just changing what we do and what we eat. So keep that in mind. And when we eat food, I tell you to eat, and on the purification, you're eating foods that are nutrition rich and fiber dense. They take up a lot of space in your stomach. So you can see the diagram above, you can see the far right is what it looks like when you eat your spinach and your cauliflower and all that. If you eat 400 calories of chicken, you can see what it looks like. If you eat 400 calories of oil, you can see what it looks like. So down below, a head of broccoli is 50 calories, half of a Reese cup. Half. And those are not my teeth marks. That is from an image from Google. It's 44 calories, but totally different type of calories. So, and this is what we've been discussing. So if you walk a mile or run a mile, you burn approximately 100 calories. I don't care how tall you are, heavy you are, small you are, same, give or take a few calories. So you're exercising and you want to reward yourself, you go to Starbucks. Well, Starbucks is, you have a caramel macchiato, that's 240 calories. If you walk 2 miles, that's 200 calories you burn. So you already have an excess of 40 calories that you're taking in, so you defeated your purpose there. So be mindful of these things. I don't go on a big calorie in, calorie out. I do that so you have these images. We're going to talk a little bit more about that on the last week as we kind of transition you into your new you for your new lifestyle. And I do these comparisons because I think they're really important to see. If you eat 100 calories more per day in 1 year, and you do that each day, you gain 10 pounds. You gain your freshman 10 pounds. And if you look over here on the right, you can see that if we have a plate of carrots, let me try that again. I'm doing really fast here. There we go. If you have a plate of carrots here and a plate of chips, you can see you have so many more carrots than the chips. These are both equal 100 calories. Grapes compared to a honey bun, and I know I said to stay away from grapes. This is just for visual. Apple compared to like a third of a candy bar. almost a whole melon to a quarter of a muffin, and more celery than you probably would ever think about eating, to a little plate of pretzels. So that's how we compare how the calories are different. The foods on the left, nutrition rich and fiber dense. The foods on the right, processed and refined and not. And down here, it doesn't mean you can't have either, all right? Especially on the purification. And I'm hoping that after if you do these things, do it every once in a while. But for me, as good as I feel on the purification program, it's hard to introduce those foods back in. On a rare occasion, we'll have some things that are off, but usually we'll make them. Rarely will we buy something and eat them. We'll usually make our own things. And these are, this is where it started. These are back in the probably 50s and 60s now. Sugar just might be the willpower you need to curb your appetite. I think it's hilarious. That they say to eat sugar because it'll spoil your appetite, which is what our mom would say not to eat, so that you won't eat as much. And then on the right hand side, he goes, "Oh, I love sugar, but I'm watching my weight." And the lady says, "Oh yeah, but sugar has 3 teaspoons has less calories than your apple you're eating." But we understand fiber dense, nutrition rich, and refined. So it's smart to stay slim and trim and get Domino's energy lift too. So this is what we've gone through. And then, here's how we got kids hooked. Vitamin donuts. Each donut is, fortified with natural B vitamins. But we already talked, they're not natural, they're isolate, and it's just not going to work. Not going to turn that lock and just make the kids overweight. And here's how we got them to drink Ovaltine. If they drank 2 glasses of Ovaltine a day, it was like eating a piece of steak or eating 3 eggs or eating some good oatmeal or eating a big salad. So what kid wants to eat veggies when they can have Ovaltine? All right. So when in doubt, avoid anything not listed on the program guide. And it's really important for your success. Remember, and even from here on out, margarine, spreads, corn oil, vegetable oil, safflower oil, all that, any hydrogenated oils or trans fats or foods with trans fats in them are not going to be in your diet. Get rid of them now. If it's unopened, donate it to the food bank, which I even hate to say. Pour it on weeds, give it to somebody you don't like, whatever. And no caffeine or alcohol, no coffee or tobacco or other stimulants. I am letting you have the No Fun Joe. And if you want to use a little organic whipping cream because it's just the fat of the milk, because I'm keeping you away from the rest of the dairy, I'm okay with that. Or you can make bulletproof coffee, which is your MCT oils, which means medium chain triglyceride or fatty acids, which is coconut oil. You can put that in there with butter. I'm okay with that because butter is truly dairy as well, and eggs are not dairy. I have if people tell me that all the time. Oh, I can't have dairy, so I don't eat eggs. That comes from a chicken. It's what we group things as. No soft drinks other than, like I said, we do this bubbly water. The black cherry is one of my favorites. As long as they don't have sugar in them, and make sure they're not loaded up with a bunch of junk. No nuts, beans, dairy, or grains other than what we've talked about. You can have some black beans, you can have some chickpeas. Limit the amount if you want to lose weight. If you want to sprinkle a few on your salad, I'm okay with that. But try to limit it if you're on a weight management program. No processed or refined foods. Let's get back to eating whole foods. And no dried canned vegetables or fruit. You can do frozen, okay. And no cured, smoked, or luncheon meats because they're full of sodium nitrate. Same thing they make fireworks out of. And sodium nitrate is carcinogenic. So don't eat it. So hold the sugar. And yesterday was Martin Luther King Day, and I just really like this quote. And my second class always ends on on a Martin Luther King Day. So this is just really powerful. If you can fly, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. Whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. And remember, when we're making lifestyle changes in your car, your windshield in the front is very, very large, and your rearview mirror is very, very small. We can look back at our past, but we have to look forward to what we need to go to and what our future looks like. So we're trying to create a lifestyle and a future for you here. So you've got your plan of action. And I just think this is so, perfect. Don't ask why healthy food is so expensive. Ask why junk food is so cheap. If we'd flip the cost of those, we'd have a lot more healthy people. But people got upset up in New York when they put the tax on the soda tax. All we're trying to do is just help people. But, don't tell me what to do. I get it. So remember, supplement change on day 8. So if we started last week, some of you are on some may be at day 7 today, and you're changing over tomorrow. Some may be at day 7 tomorrow, and you're changing over after that. So whatever day you're on day 8 is when you make your supplement change. You will have 3 SP cleanse left over. Just toss them in the next day. It's okay. So now you'll do your 2 to 3 veggie shakes. Remember, since you're going to be adding protein day 11, you can drop one of the shakes out if that helps you. I just find it's helpful to quench a hunger when I'm, midday if I feel like I need something to eat, or use the chocolate whey protein powder, the chocolate veggie pro, heat it up with some almond milk and make it like a hot chocolate. That's awesome. And so you can do that. So 3 gastrofiber twice a day, 5 green food twice a day, and your 4 GI adsorb at night before you go to bed. If you didn't get them, they're going to be shipped to you. If you ordered on Patient Direct, they'll be shipped to you. When you get them, you can just start there and you can continue those. All right. Begin animal protein on day 11. So yum, you get to have your salmon, all the good fish and everything you've been missing. So just remember, great health is a destination. It is not a journey. I will see you next week, same time, same station.